Working at a dementia unit is extremely stressful and demanding, and you've got to be physically fit and emotionally fit. If you're not, you really can't manage, because it's a very early start at 7 o'clock in the morning, and you've got to be ready right from the minute you step in the door to be able to take on a massive workload, often of 9 dementia residents, if you're a carer, to work through in the day and do all the showering, the dressing, the bed making, the hair washing, the notes, serving the meals, morning and afternoon tea, washing up from the meals, and all the clinical notes. It's a massive schedule and little respite. Most staff don't get a lunch break, proper lunch break. Mainly they're doing their notes over their lunch break, and maybe 5 or 10 minutes morning and afternoon tea they get a break. But other than that, the full 8 hours is very full on in a dementia unit. It's extremely busy and demanding. So to be able to cope with that level of pressure takes a certain personality. You really do have to be strong and fit, physically, mentally, emotionally, every level, because you can be dealing with challenging residents. Most residents are good, but not all of them are completely capable physically. So if you've got 8 dementia residents, chances are you'll have 2 or 3 that are challenging in some aspect, whether it's with dressing or showering or caring. And if you've got a big tall man who's got stiff hips and stiff knees, and you're having to, and he's quite heavy, and you're having to, you know, dress him in the morning with showering and shirts, etc. It takes a lot of effort. Just try lifting one leg, a dead leg, which has got no movement in it, you know, very little ability to be able to help with flexion of the leg, and you're having to lift the leg to put the leg in for the trousers. It's a lot of strain on the back and the arms, just that one action alone, let alone all the showering and the bed making and everything else that goes with it. All the activities physical, really. It's not a small thing. I mean, even dressing and showering one person in the morning is actually a big task, let alone doing it for 8, and with that having to do all the meals as well, and the tidy up and clean up, and then of course the clinical notes at the end of the day that have to be very specific. Nothing can be missed out. If anything's missed out, you can't leave, you have to stay until it's completed. And then sometimes there's the computer's breakdown, you know, there's a glitch, and then you've still got to do your notes even though there's a glitch, so you have to wait. And then with childcare and all the things that many of the staff have to deal with, it's ongoing and it's a huge pressure. But within all that, I said to one of the charge nurses one day actually about this. I talked to him about this because he was a regular charge nurse at the unit. He was on afternoon shift mainly. He'd been there for years, stable, strong, consistent. And I wondered, how can he manage to be like this? Never got flustered. Even if a dementia resident got escalated, challenging behaviour, he never ran. He'd walk over, deal with it, de-escalate people. This really amazing tone of voice and manner. All dementia residents, you know, it actually really makes a difference what tone and manner you use with dementia residents. If you're a bit stressed yourself, that will just hype up the dementia resident. Whereas if you're low-key and stable and calm, that will de-escalate them. And I never saw one instance of him not being able to de-escalate a dementia resident. A remarkable feat, because sometimes it's really extremely difficult to de-escalate a dementia resident, especially when they're on autopilot, repeat, and they're calling out the same thing over and over again. Often, I want to go home, I want to go home. But he'd go over to them, reassure them, calm them down. He had a sort of loving tone, a very empathetic, loving, reassuring tone to his voice. And it was always the same. And I said to him, because I'd witnessed this for 2-3 years, and I decided that I'd like to know how he did it actually. So I said, how do you manage to work with these people and keep this tone of voice? And he said, well, I like working with these people and it's good to help. That was it. I like working with these people and it's good to help. So he had the heart. His heart was in it. And he had the capacity. He had the strength. He had the goodwill. I think he had a bit of charm there too, I have to say. I mean, the women do tend to de-escalate with men more than women. I mean, if a male carer, the females that are escalated or stressed, they will de-escalate with male carers and nurses more so than with females. They actually even de-escalate with male residents. Some of the male residents are very good with the stressed and escalated female residents and will often go and help de-escalate them and say, you know, we're all here, dearie, and everything's all right. This is our home. Don't worry. And give them a little pat on the back, bit of reassurance, good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is. Just that, often enough to bring the woman right down, the dementia resident, female dementia resident right down. Whereas if a female resident tried to do that, or a female staff member tried to do that, not the same. So in a dementia facility, men are in short demand. That's one big reason, because in a facility you'll have typically, of say 30 residents, you may have 23 females that are, you know, often in their early 80s, women with Alzheimer's, and then a few men. So the women like the men, and anyone that's going to chat to them and be nice to them and is a male, that's a big plus, including with staff. Most staff in dementia facilities are female. You get the odd charge nurse who's a male or the odd carer, but those carers that are male, most of the female dementia residents respect them and de-escalate when they are, you know, when it's not, they don't even need to use a firm tone of voice, to be honest, these male staff members with escalated dementia residents, female dementia residents, because just the fact that they are male does something. I don't know what, but just seeing them, hearing them, maybe it's reminding them of their husband or son or something, they just calm down. Whereas the women have to work a lot harder, the staff, to de-escalate dementia residents. It's tough, really tough sometimes, trying to work with them. And keeping patience, keeping that all-important patience and tolerance. It can really get tested, especially for the cares in the morning for the staff. Very difficult, often just being on your own with this one resident who can be quite demanding. And if you haven't got anyone else to help and you're having to work through everything, the physical effort, the emotional challenge, you know, and with the dementia resident being escalated and calling out, yeah, I mean, they really do deserve a lot of credit. And I think most staff that work at dementia facilities have to enjoy the work and enjoy the people and find some humour in it. I mean, there is humour always at a dementia unit. That is the saving grace. And also the other thing is that in dementia units, staff are very tight-knit, a lot more so than other places, more so than dementia units or hospitals. That's what the staff said to me, that when they worked at other facilities, it wasn't as tight-knit or as close as at dementia units, because often they have to do double shifts. It's very difficult to get staff in dementia units because people often don't want to work there because it's so challenging. So they're doing double shifts and they have to support each other through that, and it's exhausting. They arrive at 7 in the morning. They have to get up 5:30, 6 o'clock each day, and then a big 8-hour shift, then often a double shift. Unbelievable the amount of work that these people do in dementia units. They really do deserve so much credit. They really do. So these two books, The Resident's Voice and The Resident's Rise, I've written both from a dementia unit, both on Amazon and my website, pietavalentine.com. Thank you for your comments and subscriptions. Please subscribe and pass on the links. Thank you.